What up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Freemason Podcast, episode 19. I usually wait weeks. Sometimes I've even waited 2 months before releasing an episode because, I don't know. Sometimes they excite me. Sometimes they're just someone on my show who is an expert in the health field. But this one is different. This episode I just recorded literally an hour ago, and I'm already releasing it right now. Because I just want it out there. I don't even want to hold on to this for another minute without the universe and the world seeing this. Go watch the documentary, Coming to My Senses. Maybe watch it before this. If you want to watch his story before watching this interview, maybe pause it and come back in an hour and a half. It's on Netflix. Or just watch this and then go watch his documentary. But whatever you do, make sure you watch both. As part of your life, as part of your journey, you can just feel the level of depth that this man has gone to and the level of extremes in terms of suffering and how much wisdom and light he carries as a result of his pain. So if you just want to reconnect to your truth and reconnect to the depth of life, watch this episode. He put me right on track with my mission, and is this feeling I get when I connect with a certain person of this frequency and this magic that just makes me know I'm on my path and makes me excited to continue doing my work. So I leave you with Aaron Baker. What an amazing man. What an amazing episode. This is the first time I've ever even did an introduction, a video introduction to any of my episodes. So watch this and leave a comment and follow him on every channel. And please leave a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say about this incredible man in this episode. All right, peace. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are live here, and we have Aaron Baker in the house. I just watched his documentary, Coming to My Senses, 2 weeks ago, and I made a post about it. Most of you guys have probably seen that post. Absolutely amazing story, journey, human being. And just wanted to get you on the show to tell your story and hear the lessons and hear some updates from since that movie, which was 5 years ago, where you've gone since then. So welcome, Aaron.
It's an honor to be here, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everyone, what just the long and short of what you went through if they haven't seen the documentary.
Briefly, I was an up-and-coming athlete, racing a motorcycle, traveling the country at 20 years old, and I had an accident. Typical in that sport of motocross, I broke my neck, and in short, I was a quadriplegic, paralyzed from the chin down. Had a very grim prognosis. And I had basically a 1 in a million chance of ever feeding myself again, let alone walking or being independent. My mother and I fortunately rejected that, and we set in motion a very proactive approach. Began with meditation and visualization and more of an internal process of connecting myself to my body and knowing that my body is strong and resilient, and naturally it wants to regenerate itself. So we gave it the optimal healing environment, and flash forward 19 years later, we've come a long way. I can walk with a single point cane. I do still use a wheelchair periodically, but it's a far cry from where I started, which was no movement from low motion.
Could we go into the actual injury? Do you know a ton of details about the actual injury? I would love to dive into that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The injury itself technically is a cervical spinal cord injury. Broke 3 vertebrae in my neck. C, 4, 5, and 6. C stands for cervical. There are 7 vertebrae in the neck region, so I broke right in the middle. I fractured 4, I shattered 5, and fractured 6. The lesion is at level 5, which basically is motor function from shoulders down, triceps, hands, everything, internal organs. There's a lot affected by that level of spinal cord injury. I have a fusion. A plate, titanium plate with 6 screws in my neck, anteriorly on the front, which basically fuses those 3 together. C5 was regrafted from bone from a cadaver bone bank. So they reconstructed C5, and I awoke a couple days later to paralysis on a ventilator, immobile.
Wow, and ventilator was because your lungs wouldn't work after the injury?
Correct. That's one of the reasons of fatality back in the old days. If you were hung or if you broke your neck somehow, it would shut off vital organs, lungs being one of those, and unable to breathe, so you suffocate.
Wow. And did they fuse those bones together just simply so that you had an actual structure that would keep your head? Like what would happen? Because were they attempting to regain your control over your organs and limbs, or were they just saying this is the absolute, we have to do this in order for you to even be able to like move your neck again?
Yeah, in that acute trauma space, you're not talking about recovery. You're talking about stability.
Okay.
You're basically just stabilizing the trauma. So you have to attach or reattach the skull to the spine.
Okay.
So it's fusion. It's just really trying to stabilize that spine.
Wow.
That's the trunk of the tree.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Super intense. Yeah, I herniated my L3 disc, and it's gonna sound like a joke injury to you, but
no, not at all. Those are no joke.
It's been absolute crazy. It was hell. I couldn't walk for about 3 weeks. I was using a walker, so I got a taste of that, and that's what part of the reason why your story touched me so much. I felt that, and just the level of how intensely that changes your life and your paradigm, and I really felt that. But anyway, I still can't sit. I still can't sit in a chair for more than.
Standing.
Yeah, I'm standing here. I have my makeshift. This is what I do for my podcast. I have my standing desk.
Perfect. Looking out the window. Good man.
Yeah. It's been like 9 months, and I still can't really sit. But anyway, this isn't about me. So you got these discs fused, and you're in the hospital, and the doctors are just like, he has absolutely no chance, or you said in the movie, it said 1 in a million chance of ever feeding himself, walking, doing anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of times doctors don't want to give any kind of false hope.
Right.
Understandable. But planting those kinds of seeds of hopelessness or despair, prognosticating a person's future with what they will or won't be doing, I don't think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better that they give you some kind of hope with facts.
Mm-hmm.
They can, I said this in the film, where they can prognosticate, or they can't prognosticate. They can tell me what they've done technically as a surgeon or as, that specialist. Tell me that they fused my neck. Tell me that I have a spinal cord injury. Give me the facts about that level of injury and all the complications that accompany this injury. But don't tell me what the future is going to hold. You can actually liberate me or empower me with hope, saying, look, man, the ball's in your court, and it's going to be up to you to challenge this, to get really proactive, and to become a student of the body, to learn how this incredible machine works, and to give it every opportunity to reconnect, because the body does that naturally, and it's going to take everything you've got and more. Do that. If I were that doctor, that's what I would do, and I'd get serious about it. But I wouldn't extinguish that person's light. I would actually spark them.
Absolutely. Wow. So they tried to extinguish your light, and you and your mom together just said, absolutely not. We're taking different measures. We're taking a different route. And what's next? What was next?
We're a little old school, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
I think my mom's a real outlaw. She's one fierce woman.
Mm-hmm.
I get my grit from her. We immediately rejected it, as I said. We kept negative energy and vibes and information, for that matter, out of my hospital room. She filled my room with a water fountain and Gregorian monks chanting and rainforest sounds and ocean sounds. And I basically was relieved from my body for many days, just almost astrally projecting myself out into the cosmos. But that mindset came about because I did have a respiratory failure experience. And that was the most profound moment, of which we don't talk about in the film.
Let's talk about it here. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
You can
It's
get
quite special.
as deep spiritually as you possibly think. We can handle everything here on my channel. I talk about everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right?
No filters
no
here. Yeah, no boundaries, no filters.
No boundaries.
Yeah, go
Beautiful.
ahead. Spit
It's
it.
very special for me. I do love to share it with those that are interested in receiving it. As I mentioned, a secondary complication to a high-level spinal cord injury is the lungs. My lungs began to fill with fluid, pneumonia. My body wasn't clearing that fluid, so I basically began drowning in my lungs, in the fluid, and the doctors would come in and they would suction the fluid out of my lungs a few times a day just to keep me breathing. And on this particular day, which was 6 days after the accident, just as the therapist came in the room, there was a code blue called elsewhere in the hospital. She handed the suction device to my father that was standing at the bedside. And I'm looking at my father and I'm blinking. I can't speak. I can't move. I can see out of the peripheral vision the heart rate monitor, the oxygen levels, the sounds, the numbers. And I'm blinking to my dad, trying desperately to communicate that I am suffocating, I'm drowning. And that fight, that struggle, that natural primal instinct to survive was intense. In that moment, all I wanted was another breath. And then as I heard the machine begin to flatline, my reality began to dissolve. Everything that I think I understand or is important, or everything about my life, began to merge. I use the analogy of a raindrop falling through the sky with form, and the moment it lands in the ocean, it is infinitely formless, a part of the whole. And that was my experience. I was the raindrop. And the moment I released, I became omnipresent, infinitely aware. I am you. I am this. I am pure potential. And it was, if I can use a word, it was bliss. Without form, without color, I can't even articulate it truly. But it was by far the most profound experience I can even fathom. And all our religions and philosophies and even science today points to this oneness, points to this vast expanse, this field that is interconnected and woven between it all. And that is what I got a slight moment of. And when I was resuscitated back into this body and I opened my eyes again into consciousness, awareness, and I look into the eyes of my grandmother and my mother, reverence for life overcame me. For a single breath in my body, I understood that the only two things that really mattered to me was that I have time and love. And all you do with those is share them. So living in this compromised body, this paralyzed vessel, I am here, I am aware, I have a voice, and now today I have the senses to use and share with. So that's what I build and do everything that I do today with, is that experience. And it's gratitude. That's my mantra. I thank my body. I thank you. I thank my ferocious mother, my beautiful wife, the love and the support that is surrounding me daily, and all I can do with that is pay it forward. We're fucking lucky, man.
Mhm. Did you get married to? Sorry, I've never cried on an episode.
It's
I feel the space you come down with, man. It's powerful. It's powerful. And yeah. So did you marry that woman that you were dating in the movie?
I
Wow.
did.
Wow.
I did.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So so you have this massive, massive spiritual experience, near death experience. And as soon as you woke up from that, you said, I'm going to do what no one can tell me what I can and can't do. You basically connected to something higher that didn't allow anything in this plane to come into your existence, any medical professional, you basically connected to something so much bigger that allowed you to take these steps forward. Is that right?
Um, Simply,
Uh-huh.
yes. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's not like I came back just so raring to go and to take on anything. Or
Uh-huh.
it was just it was an experience that just showed me that everything that we construct here as humans, our realities, are fabrications. They're constructs of our minds. We put our own limitations on these things. We tell each other what we can and can't do, type stuff. And after that experience, it absolutely knocked down everything. Everything became possible.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's potential. Like
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I said in the film, is we're guiding things. It's choreography. We're dancing in the flow of this creation. We
Mm-hmm.
can co-create and manifest and coexist with it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when somebody's telling me how it is or it's going to be or what, it's like, who, what are you saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even understand you.
Yeah.
I'm going to create my own.
And after your experience, do you believe that we are like almost avatars? We're this spirit that temporarily inhabits this physical vessel?
I see us, I mean, at least for me, I'm in and out of form.
Mm-hmm. And where are you going?
I may come around a few times. I'm just exploring.
Mm-hmm.
I have an adventurous spirit.
Mm-hmm.
As we are understanding, technically there is no end.
Mm-hmm.
There are no limits to our universe, what we know of, and that's not even a blip. We don't know shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I'm going. I know I'm going.
Yeah. But where is your consciousness when you say you're in and out of form, right? If you're not present in your body, where are you traveling? Is it still a mystery or?
No, I really enjoy taking on, space wherever I am.
Mm-hmm.
In the desert, I was the desert.
Wow.
There were the day that I walked through the night, I wasn't there,
Wow.
and that scared the filmmaker. Actually, there's a shot where I'm walking right into the camera, and Dom didn't know how to deal with that. There was no communication for a couple of hours, and I was just moving. That was a special. That was a really, and that was at the end of a 14-hour day of walking. So there wasn't I wasn't forcing anything. It was just happening. And Dom witnessed that. The camera caught that. Um, that was a special day. But so to answer your question, if I'm off in the hills riding my bike or having a cup of coffee at the side of a river, I'm in that space. I am that tree. I am right there with that perfect space. I'm not separate. So I try to get very quiet and connected and listen and almost balance or harmonize my frequency with that perfect frequency. So, and try to do that day in and day out. Do that wherever you are. Like I'm sitting in an office, you know, in a noisy gym, and it's easier said than done to just ground yourself and stay connected.
Okay, so let's rewind for a second. You said three things that people would have no idea how special it is that you're doing these things. Riding your bike, drinking a cup of coffee, doing all of this by yourself, coming onto this podcast, sitting on that chair, every single thing that you've been talking about, you know, you're nonchalantly saying, like, you know, drinking my cup of coffee, riding my bike. Let's just explain what a miracle it is for you to be doing those things. So you get this prognosis, you have this experience, you and your mom go on this journey together of relentless resilience, moving forward, blocking out all of the junk, anything any anchor that's holding you back, just shutting that down, and you're moving forward. Can you walk us through this progress?
Sure, happily. I'm going to key in on the word you used, miracle. I like to say that the miracle is in the work. You know, this is almost 2 decades of real focused work, intention, life building. Like, we're not looking back. We're not trying to go back to a life that was. We are painting on a new, fresh canvas. My mother facilitated beautifully, ferociously, an environment that we could just literally start building life again, one Lego brick at a time, stacking these mini milestones on top of each other until we have a new life. And we would set short-term, long-term, and ultimate goals together. The bicycle was a part of the recovery process. It made sense to us both as a continuous repetitive motion, was great for reconnecting neural pathways in the body. I could sit on a bike seat, I could be strapped to the handlebars and the pedals, and I could just really do thousands of revolutions, which is turning a neural pathway into a highway, pumping that neurochemical signal. It's just electricity through water, through my body into the muscles like an amplifier. I imagine pulses of light or electricity like a spark plug. You know, my mind is pulsing this light through my body. And in the film, I talk about my sister painting my toes rainbow colors with her nail polish. And that's a tangible target. You know, those are literal colors that I can look at and focus in on and use as pathways instead of an ambiguous light or an ambiguous, you know, energy from a light socket type thing. It was real color. And I could, like an orchestrator, you know, orchestrate where that goes in myself. So to fast forward, the bicycle, you know, it was a tandem bicycle that I was able to ride first with my mother on the front and I was on the back. We started riding 5 miles at a time, 5 minutes at a time, 5 miles, 10, 20, so on, until we started doing marathons, LA Marathon, 26.2 miles. And over the course of 3 years of training on that tandem bicycle, we were able to do those 3 marathons and ultimately ride the bike from San Diego to Florida. And we were just sharing the process, talking to newly injured patients, clinicians, and caretakers about the power of possibility and challenging whatever adversity you may be living with. And from that bike tour, we did another bike tour on my own bicycle. I was able to build a trike, 3-wheeled bike where I could stay on the seat and clip my feet into the pedals safely and pedal under my own power. That was an epic journey where I was no longer sitting behind my mother and my friends. I rode alongside. And my mother and I pedaled from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. An incredible way to see the country, to experience the culture along the way, the amazing landscape, food, friends, the communities, and to test my own body, to test my will. On the heels of that tour, I didn't want to stop. I wanted to just stay on the road. It was amazing. That took 4 months, so it became kind of like a lifestyle. I started racing for the Paralympic team. United States Paralympics racing is a part of my maybe fabric, I suppose. Slight competitive spirit that I don't give too much attention to, but it's there. That was really amazing because it forced me to find my limits of performance. I had to test my mettle. Other athletes and coaches and people really inspired me and motivated me to find new levels of within myself because they're so, their magic is so strong. You can't help but rise up to a new level when you're surrounded by other individuals that, are pushing or striving to be the highest versions of themselves. So I fit right in. And that 3-year experience with the United States paracycling team and chasing the Olympics was a extraordinary phase of my life. And even the outcome, I hold very, very dear because I didn't make the Olympics. I sacrificed, I say sacrifice, but I willingly engaged this process all in, eat, sleep, and drink, cycling, sleep in a hyperbaric chamber, like do everything it takes to get to that level, and then it doesn't pan out. And when I share that with anyone, it's relatable because, oftentimes we set an intention or an expectation for something and it doesn't pan out the way we want it to. And that is life. That's real, and that's all right. Whereas if I'm sitting here today and I'm showing you a shiny medal, that's not relatable. So I'm grateful for that process and how it turned out. It taught me a lot. And on the heels of that, I decided to shift gears, get off the bicycle. And that's where I found myself in the desert.
Walking across 20 miles of the desert, 22 miles. 20
Yep.
miles.
Yep.
Which to a normal person would be difficult, but this is just an astronomical feat that is displayed on this video. So how did that come to be? How did you decide that that's what you wanted to do? How did you get vision on that?
At that point in my life, I had dedicated so much time to the cycling and to, I was connected spiritually in the process, but I was also wrapped up in the competitive nature of the endeavor. I needed to reconnect to myself. I needed to get off the bicycle. I had done myself a disservice physically by riding that hard, that long. I had developed chronic holding patterns, some dysfunction, some damage. I wanted to get back to function and be able to stand on my own 2 feet and walk without being carried, so to speak, on the bicycle. And one day I was pushing a shopping cart in the grocery store, and I felt I'm stable holding onto this grocery cart, and the more food and the heavier it got, the better I felt. And when I walked out into the parking lot, it was windy, and it didn't affect me. Typically, if it's windy or walking with a single point cane, it can be quite dangerous for me. And it just occurred to me that I need to just keep walking, pushing the shopping cart. And so I've always been drawn to the vast open plains of a desert landscape. And I thought to myself, Death Valley has some really beautiful spaces with those slow moving rocks that I can relate to. And I thought I'm gonna build a shopping cart style rig, carry all my food and supplies, and just go out and have a walkabout. I proposed this to my friend, who is the filmmaker. First and foremost, he's an incredible outdoorsman. So I need, my risk is calculated. It's a very risky endeavor for me, and I needed to be able to be saved or rescued if needed. And I knew I could count on him as my plan B. And it benefited me twofold. One, it gave me peace of mind, and two, he pointed a camera at it and he captured it. So I was able to take those steps for a week through Death Valley confidently, with Dom there at my side. And that was really my greatest physical challenge to date.
Wow. So the movie, after that experience, the movie probably goes another 2 years or what? Or a year after that?
Yeah, the film uses the walk as kind of the backbone of the arc of the story, weaving in my past, the beginning of the injury, some of the cycling, the most important walk of my life, which was the 50 feet down the aisle to my wife, and then to my day-to-day, which is core and the gym facility that my mother and I run. So yeah, it encapsulated the better half of, well, at that time it was 14 years, another 2 years after that, so 16 years.
And how much has changed since the end of the movie? How much have you made more progress with your movement? To me, you're actually moving differently than what I saw in the movie. Just your arms and everything. They felt more disconnected when I watched the movie, and now as you move, I feel like they're more connected and you're more embodied in that way.
Yeah, I mean, my hands are still not 100%. I mean, my upper body, I'm actually just coming off of 2 weeks of illness, so I lost a few pounds, and I'm not feeling all that well. I got a parasite while I was in Mexico.
Whoa, what kind of parasite? Giardia?
No, it was a cryptospondiosis.
Yeah.
Wicked bug. Wicked bug. But for me, with a spinal cord injury, it's more complicated. I can't just pass it through my system. So there was a lot of testing. It landed in the hospital.
And has it passed now?
Yeah, I'm about a week recovered. So I'm just getting my strength back. But to answer, how am I doing today? If I stop doing what I do in terms of physical activity, adventures, or even just general exercise, I regress very fast. Very fast. I spent 2 weeks in bed, literally in bed, and it basically set me back probably 5 months. So, I mean, this is a pretty challenging process psychologically. I found myself getting a little emotional the last few days of just how fucking hard it is. Excuse my language, but it is, man.
Say whatever you want to say, yeah.
And I'm tired. I mean, I get tired. And I feel like I'm almost starting over. All the time, I'm always starting over. So I try to just put things in my mind and in my vision to move towards. So like when you asked me earlier, where am I going? I'm going this way. And that's always changing because my body is an enigma. It's ambiguous. It throws these crazy curveballs at me all the time. Finding consistency and confidence in my ability it's hard, man. And I'm human like you, but people are always looking to me like I'm so strong, or I'm this inspiration and stuff, and I'm just a mirror, dude. And when I see clear mirrors like what I'm looking at now, like that's what gets me. That's what I'm fired up. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you receiving me, and you are firing me up to keep fucking going.
Totally.
because it's hard to keep going.
Hmm. Yeah, it's that warrior path that you're on, man. It's you have that line that you're walking, and anything else, anything but that line, man. It's almost like death, you know? Anything but that one thin line that you're on. And deviating from that line, like you said, 2 weeks of that parasite. By the way, I just want to add, like, parasites are my expertise. You know, I've been helping people cure parasites for basically 2.5 years now,
Then
and
I've
very
got to find
effectively.
the exact parasite it is. It's crypto.
Yeah, I know what it's called. I think it's called cryptospinosis or crypto.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
cryptostenosis or something. Cryptospino. But yeah, did you take any binders like charcoals, clays, bentonite clay, anything like that during the process?
No, it was actually it wasn't diagnosed for like 10 days.
Hmm.
And I had all these tests and colonoscopy and endoscope and all those chemicals, and that whole process is really hard on my system as well.
Hmm.
And I couldn't eat for 12 days.
Hmm.
I'm only 150 pounds when I started this thing, and I'm 140 right now. So I mean, that just it wiped me out.
Hmm.
I took a anti-parasitic medication called Alina.
Okay.
It's only 6 pills. It's like $1,000 for 6 pills. This medication is
Yeah.
stupid. Our system is
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh-huh.
But that helped me rebound. I think it felt like acid in my blood. But
Yep. Yep.
apparently this type of parasite, chlorine doesn't even kill it. It's pretty wicked. So I'm actually going to do another test this week just to make sure that I'm still clear, because I'm still feeling kind of weak. I'm not as bloated. There isn't any pain in my stomach, but still nasty sucker.
I'm going to send you some links to some things that are going to change the course of this parasite. I'm very, very confident. Something
Good
called
man.
Enteros gel. Enteros gel is going to change that. Yeah, it would have completely altered the course of this had we known each other. Enteros gel and
Well,
charcoal. Yeah.
I'm excited for this connection
Yeah.
anyways, dude,
Yeah.
because I think we'll be able to feed each other a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got more questions. I don't know how you are on time. I definitely have
I'm
more.
fine.
Okay.
This is priority.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm just feeling the love, man. I'm just feeling the love, you know?
That's what it's about, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So you're on this journey. We're still going through the story, you know?
Of
And
course.
and you have the walk, your mom, okay? Let's talk about your mom for a second, you know. I believe there's something called soul contracts. I don't know if you ever heard of something like this before, but I've experienced in my life, like for instance, in my darkest days, there was a woman who happened to go to my high school, who I knew nothing about in high school, and 5 years after high school, we connect to each other. It just so happens that she works at one of the largest ayahuasca centers in the world, and I was diving deep with ayahuasca at the time, and we connected, and she really showed me for the first time what love was. Like even though I was suffering immensely and I was in immense agony, and our love wasn't um, necessarily healthy because of how sick I was and how toxic, she showed me the love frequency. Because people say the word I love you, people say these things, and they write a her birthday card that says happy birthday, I love you so much, you're the best dad in the world. But unless you can actually pass the space, the frequency of love, the words don't mean anything.
Mhm.
And well, they do mean something, because the love frequency can follow after enough months and enough years of saying the word. If one can't actually feel it, I trained
True.
myself through self-love. I looked at myself in the mirror and I just said, I love you, Josh. I love you, Josh. Even if I hated myself, and I would just look at the mirror and just say, I fucking love you so much. You're doing an amazing job, amazing work. And And along the way, I had these little soul bumps, these soul contracts where people would come into my life and they gave me the exact medicine that I needed in that moment. They gave me something that was so foreign to me that all of a sudden, after we spent a year together, was infused in my being for the rest of my life, you know? And I feel like your mom and you have had a fucking soul contract, man. Hardcore. Like you guys are there for each other, you know? What do you think about this?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Oh no, we're united
Mm-hmm.
far beyond this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're honoring through this connection, through the mutual suffering. I mean, she's gone through so much and still does. We both do. We're a bit hard-headed at times. We stay the course, through tremendous challenges. We honor each other. We honor the process. We stay the course, and I think it has a lot to do with the contract
Mm-hmm.
with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing. It's very special, very unique to have this type of closeness at this stage in life. I mean, I'm 39 years old. I'm married. I'm going to be starting my own family, and yet my mother and I sit across from each other and spend every day together. We engage our plans together. We look to the future together, and it always incorporates each other. We're always factored into each other's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So in this life and in the next or whatever, I'm a lucky son of a gun to be brought into this world by her, to be loved and guided, protected, and then to be able to honor and uplift her, or empower her, or challenge her. We're I don't know, special. But I think you're right. People come in, people, things, places, they all have a real particular, reason to be in your life. At least how I look at it, things are happening for me, not to me. That's cliche, but that's how I feel, because it's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve, to reflect and look at myself. So I'm not a victim in life. I mean, life happens to us all. I mean, it's just happening always.
Mm-hmm.
Change is what happens. You have to be able to ride that, to be a part of that. When you get into that space, who was it? Bruce Lee says it.
Like water.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about suffering. There's a lot of people in my community, in the Detox Dudes community, and healing on people who are healing from chronic illnesses. That's kind of the community that I'm tapped into, by the way. It's just either people who are healing from chronic illnesses, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, panic, or people who are trying to optimize. They're doing okay in life and they're trying to optimize through cleansing this body, this vessel, right? Clearing out the junk, connecting to higher frequencies, getting more energy, more exuberance, more flow. So that's kind of the people that I work with. And a lot of the people who are chronically ill are so desperate to escape their suffering. And I always talk about the suffering only happens when there's no space from it. There's pain, right? There's tons of pain in life. Life throws at us so much, especially intense people on a warrior path. Like there's never a time where there's never months that go by that it's just ecstasy or joy. There's always, for me at least, there's always pain. There's always sadness. It's this yin, this yang, this flow and dance between all of it. But what do you, with someone who has gone through so much pain, through so much suffering, what is the message to people who are in that pain? How do you have space from it, and how essential is that space? And what, and do you fear that pain, right? Are you afraid of it? And I would just love, if, I don't know if this question makes sense, but I would just love for you to touch on all of these facets.
This question is completely relevant.
Okay.
I've been in a lot of pain already today.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. There's no reprieve, as you said. There's far more pain than there is pleasure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to really recognize those fleeting moments of pleasure, those quiet spaces of bliss, those moments of real peace. But a lot of times I will counteract pain, extrinsic pain, internal pain, with self-induced suffering on my terms, where I will put myself in the desert. I will put myself to work in the gym. I will challenge myself and actually put myself in a very precarious, calculated but dangerous scenario that forces me to be really alive, almost primal instinct type space. It gets me out of my head and just working on a subconscious how to survive type space. And that's, I call it self-induced suffering. It's on my terms. I'm putting myself in that position, and it changes the way I think about the pain, how I compartmentalize it. I'll sleep better at night knowing that this is good pain, and there's a difference between good and bad pain. It's learning how to recognize those, decipher between the two. Another way I deal with it is to help someone else's suffering, be of service.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, you are beyond yourself. And all of a sudden, you are giving that pain away. You're giving just with love, you know? You're letting go of the pain, and you're helping another human being or an animal, or, you know, you're beyond yourself. And in that action, you know, act, A-C-T, action changes things. So it changes the pain, changes how you think about it, how you feel it, how you process it, how you live with it. But you have to put yourself in motion to get a different result. Otherwise, pain is a cycle. And we can fixate on it, and we can repeat it, and we can compound it. And it can be all-consuming and ultimately go dark. And I know that space really well, too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's human.
I'm got to plug in my computer. Keep going. We're not done here.
I'm plugging mine in, too.
Okay. What were you saying? Pain. You dark.
Pain. Pain will lead to darkness. Absolutely. Pain is dark. Pain's heavy. Pain is relentless. So those are my two main ways of counteracting any kind of pain cycle, because I'm always living with it. There's always something physically, psychologically, emotionally that is there, and I can either give it attention and energy and stay in that space, and it can get really numb. It can get really gnarly.
What is that? What does it feel like for you when you go all in dark?
Dark. As black as this shirt. Ready to just not. I have been very close to oblivion many times in my life. But I acknowledge it. I recognize it. I respect it, because it is a part of life. This is a cycle. Life is cyclical. And at some point, I will be there. Honor it and move forward, man. I mean, shit. We're not impervious to pain. I don't mask pain with any medications or anything that would deaden my senses. You know, I'm very alive when I'm in a lot of pain, and I have to, you know, willfully change it. That's it.
Can we talk? So I want to dive deeper into this pain, right? So for you, is the pain, is this all? It must be encompassing all of these different things, right? So you have the spinal cord injury, which is creating disharmony in your organs and tissues, which of course leads to your neurochemistry, your biochemistry isn't functioning as well as someone normal, right? Then you have the range of motion, the lack of ability to actually be totally self-sufficient and do difficult things for yourself, the lack of being able to go on, you know, big physical adventures. Actually, no, there is no lack in that because you're doing that more than most people are. So all of these things, and then how does your, like, how much of it is normal pain of what all humans experience, and how much of it is tailored to your individual case? What part of it is from the spinal cord injury? What part of it is energetic, spiritual? What is this? What do you think the root of this pain is?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of what I go through is you know, relatable. Fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think everyone just gets tired.
Yeah.
At times, and that kind of psychological weight can be a downward spiral. Then you start to feel, you know, your self-loathing. There's, you know, you can have, you know, you start to pity yourself, or you start to just go down this slippery slope of, you know, self-deprecation, doubt, fear. You know, all these things just start compounding. Domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all human. Those are all relatable.
Totally.
The reason I get tired is you know, for many reasons. Just the sheer effort to move myself physically. That physical effort. It would be equivalent to you going about your day walking around on your hands. I mean, in terms of like focus,
right,
physical effort, energy. Like if you just finish your day walking on your hands.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're tired, man. Your brain is tired. You have no more bandwidth to make it happen, because my movements are focused, willed intent. Every movement I make is a conscious effort. So fatigue,
Yeah.
pain, you know, that without reprieve from it, or without me making a real effort to change it, is really heavy. And I just get tired of that. The inability to eat sometimes, you know, my nutrition, my vitality, you know, that's my circulation, the nerve pain. I mean, I feel like my feet right now are, I've got them on hot coals.
Because of sitting in the chair?
Circulation, nerve pain. You know, I've got just, when I send impulses to move, it sends a lot of sporadic energy in my body as well. So, you know, that's difficult to deal with. I have to compartmentalize a lot. And that's just, it's tiring, it's depressing, it's frustrating. And one thing I've been able to do is turn frustration into anger, because I do have rage in me. I mean, I can channel that into a workout. I can channel that into a bicycle. I can focus it down into such a narrow point of effort that it is very intense, and it can be productive. It can be productive, but it can also be extremely destructive. It just comes down to choice. I could have slept all day today, but I chose to be here with you. and to carry out my day. And I am determined to end my day with more energy and movement than I began. So I know that everything counts. Everything means something. My words, my movements, my actions, all these things, they mean something. Even the rest that I take, like I take intentional rest. I eat things with intention. I move with intention. That's why I like to say I lead a life of mindful movement, aware that it all means something to my life.
Yeah.
Just humans having a human experience.
Woo. Anything else that you feel like sharing? Anything else coming into space for you?
No, other than just I'm really stoked that you reached out and that we're just sharing this conversation. And you know, I've been doing all this talking. I want to ask you questions. Like I want to learn more about you and the Detox dudes. And you know, you radiate energy. I mean, clearly you vibe high and you share it. You know, and that's special. And so I like to keep good people with good energy in my hook.
My field, right? We got to keep it in our field. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me more about yourself.
Yeah.
Dude. Tell me about Detox, dude.
Sure. I love that. I love that. All right. Well, basically, wow. Yeah. I feel emotional, man, just talking to you. Now that asking you the questions, I was able to deflect the emotions I'm feeling. But now that I talk about myself, it's just like,
good man.
So, well, basically, October 2013, I went through a very, very intense mental, emotional, spiritual breakdown. I started experiencing severe panic attacks. My digestive system stopped working. Despair, suicidal depression, headaches, fatigue. It felt like I was tripping on acid 24/7, basically. And I spent many years trying to figure out the answers. I lived in the Amazon jungle for almost 8-9 months, drinking a lot of medicine. Had like 32 ayahuasca experiences, did a lot of mushrooms, and I was doing everything I can to try and survive. I was doing ketamine injections, and before I got sick, I was actually a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, Pan American champion, and fellow athlete, you know. So that's then basically after 3.5 years, I was 2 days away from taking my own life. I was going to go to Africa to take Iboga as a last-ditch effort to try and survive. And I had tried everything, diets, fasting. I fasted for 12 days at a time, and float tanks, colonics, juicing, meditations, Vipassana, everything imaginable. And I said, all right, my last chance here on earth is I'm going to go to Africa, and I'm going to take Iboga. And if Iboga doesn't heal me, I'm going to fast in the woods of Gabon until I pass on to the next world. And I thought that by fasting, that I would bypass the laws of suicide. I felt strongly through my ayahuasca experiences that suicide would take us somewhere very, very funky, very that karmic footprint or imprint that happens through suicide was just not for me. I knew that for somehow, somewhere, I would have to do it all over again if I ended it, you know. And eventually, I found out about mercury poisoning and severe parasites that I had. I had severe parasite infestation and mercury poisoning, and I healed myself the resurrection happened in 6 months from February 2016 to July, August of 2016 was kind of my resurrection. It's when I finally basically flew back into my body and started living here on this planet again. And it's been 2 years since then, and I've completely transformed my health. I have no depression. I mean, I have sadness, but I don't get depressed. I have anxiety, but I don't get panic. I have earthly life anxiety, you know. And I also have a massive amount of passion and energy and fire, which sometimes gets confused as anxiety for me, but in reality, it's just desire to make things happen in this world. And yeah, now I'm helping thousands of people around the world. I have clients all around the world. I've transformed tons of people's health. I've helped people who've been I've helped, I don't know how many people, but I've definitely helped a lot of people who were about to kill themselves in the next week or two, and I've helped them come out of it, and I've helped people who have been in mental institutions. I've helped people who society writes off as crazy, because I believe even schizophrenia, and schizophrenia, I believe, is just the filter being broken from this, both planes. And I feel like you can repair the filter through heavy metal detox. A lot of people who have severe mental illness, sometimes they don't ever come back to real wholeness, but they at least are able to live and survive. They're not on their way to checking out, because there's also deep spiritual things involved with that type of mental illness, deep spiritual energetic roots. So yeah, basically I went from being dead for 3.5 years to basically feeling more alive than most people I know, feeling more stable than most people I know, and fucking taking on the world and helping transform this planet, and I love my fucking life.
Good man. Yes. What a spectrum, dude. You live in that spectrum, and you've experienced it. You understand it. Mm-hmm. What a fucking ride. What a gift. Mm-hmm. Well done, dude. Yeah. Way to just ride it out. Good man. I love that. Thanks for telling me all that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Good work.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'm on board, dude. I'm right here with you.
Amazing.
I'm not far from Berkeley.
Yeah, we got to meet up. No doubt. No doubt.
I got a buddy up in Berkeley. His name's Arash.
Arash?
Arash Vayatmaku.
Okay.
He has a spinal cord injury. Brilliant dude. Just pure light soul. Like, amazing cat. I'll send you his info.
Put us in touch. I'll go meet him.
Yeah, he's right by you, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, Berkeley, local for his whole life. He grew up in Berkeley. Mm. Brilliant cat. You guys will vibe.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Hell yeah, man.
Dude.
All right, let me wrap up this recording here, and we don't have to hang up, but let me just wrap up this recording, guys. You can find Aaron. Give all your plugs, every single plug you have, your business, your movie, everything, Facebook. Throw it all out there.
Right on. You guys can reach out to me. I'm an open book. I'm here. We're only 1 degree of separation. I'm Aaron Baker. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Center of Restorative Exercise.com is our clinic. And then I'm AaronBaker.com. So you can find me at ShieldHealthcare.com. You can find me at Red Bull or Wings for Life. A lot of different organizations that I work with and work for. So Aaron Baker.
And CORE, right? CORE Center for, can you say it again?
CORE. The okay. Center of Restorative Exercise.
Center of Restorative Exercise. Beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Actually, I know you did. And yeah.
That's good.
There it is.
And right here. Together we rise.
Beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Min Latin ko bango.